and welcome to Zesty Yoga. My name is Jessica. Today we're going to be looking at some movement and stretches for the lower back to help relieve some lower back ache. So you are the master of your own body. Only you knows exactly what you're experiencing in every moment. So really paying attention during this practice to what your lower back is feeling, because not everything works for everybody. So if something that I suggest does not feel right in your lower back, feel free to skip that or modify it until it does feel right for you. But we're going to go ahead and find our way to a seated position. I'm going to sit on the edge of a blanket because helping my pelvis tilt forward a little bit feels really good to release into my hips and support my back. So go ahead and find your way into your seated position. Legs can be crossed or extended out in front of you, whatever feels right for this moment. As you settle down into the hips, create a nice long spine. And then go ahead and find a shoulder roll or two, loosening up into the shoulders. And then starting to feel your belly hug you in, or drawing the belly in. So we're not trying to pull the belly button to the spine. We're just hugging the belly in, feeling that support of the core. You have this beautiful support system of muscles that completely surround you, surround your spine and your vital organs. And you can almost picture it like a corset. And when we sit for a long period of times, it's like we've completely untied the corset and there's very little support there. But we want to go ahead and start to tighten the laces on that corset. We're not tight lacing here. We're not trying to suck everything in and up, but we are trying to provide some support, some structure into our core, so that we can find this nice long spine. And deep breaths. You can close the eyes or soften the gaze down towards the floor. Next, deep inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, sigh it out. Let it go. And then we're going to just walk the hands behind us as we start to lift the heart up. Feel those shoulder blades draw together. Press down through the sits bones and think about lifting yourself up and out of your pelvis. So creating as much length upward as you can, letting the pelvis, the tailbone grow heavy, creating a little bit of traction. And then we're going to walk ourselves forward, finding a forward fold. So maybe you stay lifted, lengthened here. Maybe you lower the forearms down. Maybe you cross the forearms in front of you and rest the forehead down, finding what feels best. But again, think about lifting yourself up and out of your pelvis. Letting the lower half of your body be really heavy, rooted down into the earth, and the spine extending up and out. And then we're going to walk ourselves back up. Inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, rotate the heart to the right. And we're going to lower the arms down into this twist. So left hand can come onto the knee. Back hand comes behind the hips, but we want to make sure that we're not sinking down into our sits bones, creating a rounded back, kind of resting back into this hand. We want to, again, stay lifted, stay lengthened as we rotate, and only rotating as deep as it feels good here. We're just warming up the spine, moving it in multiple directions. Next, inhale, reaches the arms up. Exhale, lower the hands down, and whichever leg's in front in your cross, we're just going to switch it out. Ooh, got to release down into my hip. Oh, that felt good. And again, we're going to find our forward fold. So you can stay lifted, maybe with this side of with this leg in front, you can lower down even deeper. Maybe it's restricting you a little bit more. Maybe you got a nice little pop into your hip like I did. Slow, deep breaths. But again, think about lifting out of your pelvis. Feeling that belly gently hug you in. And go ahead and lift yourself up. And inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, rotate it to the left. Again, lowering the hands down, staying lifted, hugged in. Rotating only as deep as it feels good. Breathing. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands down to heart center. So imagine if you've seen a snake charmer and the cobra coming out of the basket and how it makes a weaving back and forth shape as it comes up out of the basket. So we're going to kind of emulate that in our spine. So letting the fingertips lead, kind of creating that S shape side to side as you lift up and out of your basket or your pelvis. And you can make these S shapes as big and dramatic or as little and soft as it feels good. And then go ahead and let your fingertips start to reach up a little bit higher as it guides you side to side until finally you find that full extension and reach it all the way up. Exhale, hands down. We're going to find our way to our tabletop, so maybe you roll over the knees, maybe you swing the legs around behind you, find your way that way to your tabletop. Stacking shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and we're going to find some cat-cow movements. So grounding down into the hands, down into the shins, we're going to drop the belly, feel your tailbone reach up towards the sky and your chest kind of open. And this is your cow pose. And as you exhale, tailbone tucks underneath you, kind of like a scared dog, as you press the belly button up towards the spine, spine up towards the sky, and the gaze can drop towards the knees. Cat. Inhale, drop the belly, feel that tailbone reach up. Exhale, arch the back cat. So you can move back and forth here, cat-cow, working with your breath. Maybe it feels good to add a little bit more movement here, kind of reinventing our snake charmer spine. So allowing it to sway side to side, kind of in an S shape as you arch the back and then let the belly drop down. Or maybe it feels good to kind of create a jump rope shape with the belly. So from your arch, allowing the belly to reach over to the left and then dropping it down and then over to the right and arching it back up. You can draw it in this big circle one way and then reversing the direction when it feels good. Or maybe you're just staying with your cat-cow, but really noticing into your spine and finding fluidity and movement as we loosen up muscles that might have gotten a little bit tighter than they want to be. And we also add fluid in between the joints, allowing them to move a little bit more freely. And then we're going to find our child's pose. So maybe it feels good for you to allow the knees to separate wide, but try it with the knees together. So the hips sit back towards the heels. If it doesn't reach all the way back, you can grab a blanket or a pillow to kind of fill in that space. And then allow yourself to kind of cascade down over your knees. You can rest the forehead down. But then we're going to, again, look for a little bit of traction, a little bit of length in the spine. So reaching the fingertips a little bit more forward, so far forward that the arms lift up off the ground, just the palms and the fingertips grip down into the earth. And you might start to feel this stretch into the armpits. And as you grip down to the right fingertips, feel that right hip reach a little further back. And then the left hip reaches a little further back. Then right in the center of the pelvis, the tailbone reaches back. Continuing to find your breath. So our belly is kind of constricted with our knees. It can't really press out with our breath. So allow your breath to, as you inhale, to kind of expand into your back, kind of like you're blowing into a balloon. And that expansion separates the vertebrae. And then we're going to walk the fingertips over to the right edge of the mat. And we're going to create a stretch along the left side of the body. So feel that left hip. Again, reach down and back. Maybe you feel those left fingertips reach up and over just a little bit more. And again, keep that deep breath so that as you breathe into your balloon, you blow into your balloon, expanding. You feel a little bit more stretch, a little deepening in that stretch along the left side. And then we're going to walk the fingertips over to the left side of your mat. Maybe they walk all the way off your mat. Again, finding what works best for you today. And feel that right hip. Reach down and back. Notice if your chest starts to open up towards the right. So that right shoulder starts to lift a little higher than the left. We want to keep the heart pointing straight down. And walk the hands back to center. And we're going to lift up into our tabletop once more. But instead of our hands being directly underneath our shoulders, take one handprint forward. Walk your hands forward a little bit. And we're going to tuck the toes. And we're going to find our downward facing dog, but we're going to find our crouching downward facing dog. So press the belly back towards the thighs as the knees lift up off the ground. So the knees or the thighs and the belly press towards each other as you push the ground away with your hands. Feel your tailbone reach up and back. And then maybe the knees start to straighten as the heels grow heavy. The legs don't have to straighten all the way in order to feel that stretch in the back of the legs. But we want to keep that length, that expansion through the spine. One more deep inhale. Slow exhale out. And then we're going to start to walk the feet forward towards the hands, finding our way to our forward fold. So maybe here the hands can easily reach the floor. You're good, you're supported. Maybe the hands need to rest on the legs. Maybe you have a block or a box nearby that you can rest the hands on, just kind of creating some support so that the upper body can kind of feel supported and doesn't need to hold on, so that those muscles can release and lengthen. You can also soften into the knees so that the belly can again rest on the thighs. And we're going to find a half lift. So as you bring the hands onto the legs, feel the crown of the head reach forward. Knees can stay soft or they can lengthen, whichever one feels best. Bring your hands onto your hips for a moment. And we're going to start to press the hips back as the crown of the head reaches forward. Feel that length in the spine. And then soften, release, back in. And we're going to hinge our way all the way up to our standing. So taking that knee bend, pressing down through the feet, feeling your belly hug you in, that support, and reach it all the way up. Nice long spine all the way. Palms come together and slide down to heart center. So we're going to move through some half sun salutations, but as we do it, we want to make sure that we're going up and down with a nice long spine. We're hinging from the hips rather than rolling ourselves up and down, rounding into the lower back, creating some unneeded tension in the lower back. Like, why would we when we have these wonderful hips that will do the job for us? So as you inhale, reach the arms up, and we're going to bend into the knees so we can start to hinge forward at the hips, keep that belly hugged in, keep the spine long until the hands come down to their support, and then you can lengthen the legs if that feels good. As you inhale, find a half lift. Again, feel that extension forward and back. Exhale, soften, let go, grow heavy. Soft bend into knees as you inhale, sweep it back up, long spine. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, hinge down. Inhale, half lift, lengthen. Exhale, soften. Inhale, hinge it up, press down through the feet. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Soft bend into knees as you hinge your way back up, pressing down through the feet. Exhale, hands to heart center. And we're going to find a back bend, but instead of thinking back, I want you to think up and hinge back just a little. So bring the hands onto the lower back. We're going to use our hands to help support the lower back. And the fingertips can point down or they can point up, whichever one feels best for your wrists. And we're going to gently start to press the tailbone down towards the earth. As we draw the shoulder blades together, gently hug your belly in and reach the heart straight up towards the sky. Gaze can start to lift as well. Maybe this is perfect here. You feel that extension up and out of the hips. Maybe it feels good to start to gently press the hips forward as the heart reaches up and back a little bit. Inhale, gently lift yourself back up to center. Lower the arms down, and we're just going to find a gentle twist, a little swing side to side. Allow your gaze to follow the swing so you're getting all the way into the neck in this rotation. And then bring it slowly back to center. And as you inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge it down. And we're going to hold here in our forward fold. So again, you decide what feels best to keep the knees bent or maybe allow the legs to straighten. But we want to find pressure down through all four corners of the feet. So you're pressing down through the big toe mounds, pinky toe mounds, both sides of the heels. And you start to feel your tailbone lift up towards the sky. That doesn't mean that the knees need to straighten. You can feel this lift up through the tailbone with the knees bent or the knees straight. But we're starting to feel that hamstring stretch. Feel that belly gently hug you in, creating a little bit more room for you to soften, grow heavy down towards the floor. Again, if the hands are on the legs and you're softening, you're growing heavy from here, do that. If the hands can come onto a block or a box, do that. If they're resting on the floor, rest them on the floor. But allow the upper body to just soften, grow heavy Tailbone reaches up. Breathing slow, breathing deep. And gently bending into the knees. And we're going to lower ourselves down onto our seat. And extend the legs out. But we're going to bend the knees somewhat dramatically so that we can get a little bit of more of a release in the lower back rather than the hamstrings here. We're going to feel the toes pull in towards us, push the heels down. And we're going to reach forward with the belly, with the heart, and then again, cascade yourself down over your legs. You can grab onto the feet if they're there for you, or you can lower the hands down onto the mat. If it doesn't feel like there's any way that your belly is going to reach your legs, you can, again, employ the assistance of a blanket or a pillow. Cascade down over that. But we want to kind of fill in that gap between the belly and the legs so that we can just soften, be supported here as we let go. Slow, deep inhales. Long exhales. If you're here, it feels like it would feel better to allow the legs to straighten a little, you can do that. But we're not looking for any strain. We're not looking for that deep stretch. We're looking for release. We're looking for softness. We're looking for those things that just feel absolutely yummy. That feel good. Then we're going to lift ourselves up and roll ourselves down onto our back. Once you're on your back, draw the knees in, not hugging them all the way in. We want to leave them somewhat loose. But we just want to rock it side to side. So you're massaging your spine down into the earth. And then plant the feet. We're going to find a bridge pose here. So if you get into your bridge pose and you're like, yeah, that does not feel good on my lower back, feel free to skip this. That's fine. But we want the heels in a little bit closer to the hips, maybe just so that you can brush the fingertips on the heels so that the knees stack over the ankles. And we're going to press the palms down into the earth right next to our hips. The shoulder blades snuggle underneath of us. And we're going to inhale, press into the heels, lift the hips. It doesn't have to be your highest bridge ever. But then feel your tailbone tuck, and we're going to lower back down, lowering one vertebrae at a time, feeling that traction all the way down the spine until finally the hips lower down. And then inhale, lift it back up. Exhale, roll it down. One more time. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, rolling it down. And then gently drawing the knees back in. One more little rock side to side. And then we're going to let the knees fall over to the left. Now we're finding a twist here, and maybe this feels really nice in the lower back. Maybe this doesn't feel good at all. We control the tension in the lower back here by how close the knees are up in towards the chest. So maybe it feels good to kind of let your feet walk away from you, and then your knees to fall over so that the right hip starts to lift up. Or maybe it feels really good to hug those knees in close to your chest. So you feel your tailbone reach towards the top of your mat. So finding where you need that twist to be. If you need, again, that filling in, so if the knees are separated, you can bring something in between the knees. If the knees don't want to come to the ground, you can bring something underneath the knees, providing that support for yourself. One more deep inhale, breathing into the belly. Exhale, let it go. And then inhale, draw the knees back in. Find that little rock side to side, neutralizing through the spine. And then we're going to allow the knees to fall over to the other side, over to the right. And again, finding any props that you need here, finding the right distance for your knees to be either close into the chest or far away. But breathing in so that you can feel the rise and the fall of the breath. And again, one more deep inhale. Slow exhale out. Draw the knees up and in. You can readjust yourself if you need to. Find that little rock side to side. Slow and gentle. So again, we're not squeezing the knees in. We want to leave some room for softness. We're bringing the knees in so that it adds a little bit extra weight over our hips. So as we rock it side to side, we have a little bit more pressure into the mat, into that massage. And then lower the feet down, and we're going to separate the feet mat distance apart. And then allow the knees to fall in towards each other, resting on each other. And you can rest the arms wherever it feels good, palms up, palms down. You can rest it on your belly, whatever feels right. And then finding 5 slow, deep breaths. And with every breath, again, feeling that expansion like you're blowing into that balloon, filling up into the belly. So feel the belly lift, the back press down. And as you exhale, gently draw everything back into center. Inhale, expand. Exhale, soften. 3 more. And then gently rolling over onto one side or the other. We're going to press ourselves all the way back up. Finding seated once more. Crossing the legs or extending them out long. And inhale, reach the arms up. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. And taking a moment to cultivate a feeling of gratitude. Gratitude towards your body and all that it's capable of. Gratitude towards yourself for setting aside this time for yourself. And I wish to express my own gratitude to you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. Until next time when we meet on our mats again, namaste.